What if death isn't the end, not a doorway closing, not a light going out, but a mirror being held up to your soul, a mirror not made of glass, but of stillness, a mirror that doesn't reflect your face, but your essence. Across many ancient traditions, from Tibetan mystics to Gnostic teachings, from the Book of the Dead to esoteric Christianity, there is a pattern, a sacred number, 49 days, not 48, not 50, exactly 49. Why? Because they say that's how long the soul lingers in the space between worlds. Not quite here, not yet there. A twilight space, a mirror realm, a cosmic in-between. In Buddhism, this passage is called bardo, a word that means transition or intermediate state. But this isn't a hallway. It's not a waiting room. It's an initiation, a process of remembering, releasing, and reintegrating all that was forgotten, and all that still echoes through the soul. You see, death is not a moment. It's a journey of perception. According to sacred teachings, the moment your body dies, your mind doesn't. In fact, you may become more aware than ever before. You hear voices in the room. You feel the emotions of those left behind. But you can no longer speak, no longer move, no longer do. And so, you begin to witness. At first, the physical. You watch your loved ones. You try to reach them. But slowly, your attention is drawn elsewhere. You begin to see images, memories, moments you had forgotten. Not in flashes, but in layers. Each one charged with a feeling. You don't recall the past. You relive it, not as the person in the scene, but as everyone involved. When you caused pain, you feel it from the other side. When you offered love, you feel the ripple it left behind. Every word, every thought, every action echoes back to you in full color, not to punish, not to shame, but to reflect. Because these 49 days are not about judgment. They are about alignment. Alignment with what? With your truest nature, with the soul you were before memory, trauma, or identity took hold. That's what the mirror reveals. So what happens after death? You remember. You remember not who you were on paper, but what you carried, what you feared, what you avoided, and what you loved anyway. In that mirror, there's nowhere to hide. But strangely, you don't want to, because when the body falls away, what's left is not emptiness. What's left is truth. And it's in this space, this timeless 49-day unfolding, that the soul begins to see clearly for the first time. And in the next part, we'll follow the soul into the first 7 days of that journey. When the veil is still thin, the body is still close, and the soul stands on the threshold between memory and eternity. They say, the first 7 days after death are the hardest, not for the living, but for the departed. Because in those first days, your soul doesn't feel gone. It feels present, more than ever. You're not yet aware that you've died. You feel light. You feel clear. You may even feel free. No more pain, no more gravity, but something strange. You try to speak, no voice. You reach for something, no touch. You move, yet your body remains still on the bed. Then, you notice them, the people, the faces, gathered around your body. Some cry, some stare, some whisper prayers. Some are already scrolling their phones. You try to reach them, you shout, you wave, you want to say, I'm still here. But no one looks up. And in that moment, the realization hits, not like thunder, but like a still blade. You're gone. From them. From the physical world. From everything you knew as real. According to Tibetan teachings, this is when the soul hovers near the body, watching, clinging, trying to make sense of what just happened. In the first 7 days, you linger. You drift through your home. You watch the funeral. You visit the people you loved. You see their grief, and it becomes your grief. You see their anger, and it echoes in your field. But there's something else too. You see things you missed. The love in someone's eyes you once ignored. The pain in someone's heart you never acknowledged. The threads of life you were too distracted to feel. You begin to understand. Not mentally, but energetically. You feel how your presence shaped others, how your absence cracks them open. You feel everything, and it is overwhelming, but also holy. Because the soul is not judged, it is revealed. Some souls resist this process. They cling to old identities, to regrets, to unfinished business. And so they hover. They stay close. They visit the same places, looping, unseen, not as ghosts, but as beings stuck in recognition without release. But some begin to let go. They breathe into the stillness. They begin to realize there is more beyond this, that this world is folding away and something truer is calling, a light, a current, a whisper that says, it's time. In the next part, we'll follow the soul deeper into the second stage of Bardo, where memory dissolves, identity crumbles, and the soul begins to face its own raw essence, in a space without form, but full of mirrors. Once the soul releases the body, once the funeral ends, once the weeping fades, there is silence, but not empty silence, cosmic silence. A field where time bends, space dissolves, and thought becomes the very fabric of reality. This is the central phase of Bardo, the most mysterious. Here, there is no physical world, no body, no voice, no other. There is only you and what still lives inside you. What happens now is not external. It's reflective. In this realm, your mind becomes the canvas. Your memories become shapes. Your emotions become light and sound. Everything you repressed, everything you denied, everything you never faced becomes visible. You see faces you thought you forgot. You relive choices you buried. Not like watching a film, but like stepping inside it, feeling every layer. You see what your ego never wanted to admit. You feel the pain you caused, not as shame, but as truth without defense. And also, you feel the beauty. Every moment of genuine love, every act of courage, every time you chose truth over comfort, it glows in this realm like a star in the dark. The mirror doesn't punish. It simply reflects what was hidden behind masks. Here, identity dissolves. You no longer feel like your name or your story or even a person. You feel like awareness, pure, clear, unfiltered. And yet, in that clarity, you face your rawest questions. What am I really made of? What parts of me were real? What was performance? What was fear? This is the sacred confrontation, not with God, but with yourself. You may see light beings, guides, ancestors, or deities, but many say these are not external forces. They are aspects of you, fragments of consciousness meeting the soul in forms it can understand. Some offer peace, some challenge you, some simply watch. In Tibetan texts, this stage is filled with dazzling lights and colors, each one representing a state of consciousness. But if you cling to fear, you may turn away from them, mistake them for threats, and so you miss the gateway they offer. But if you surrender, if you allow, you rise. This is the moment where reincarnation is often decided. Not by karma alone, not by rules, but by resonance. What you still carry, what you still believe, what you are still attached to. In the next part, we'll explore what happens when the soul begins to let go of even these inner constructs and how it moves toward either rebirth or liberation. Because beyond the mirror is the one thing that cannot be reflected, your essence. After the reflections fade, after the illusions fall, after the story collapses, there is only space, not outer space, but inner spaciousness, so vast, so silent, that it feels like nothing, and everything at once. You're no longer watching. You're no longer remembering. You're no longer asking. You're simply being. This is the final phase of the 49-day passage, where the soul stands on the edge of two cosmic tides: return, release. In many traditions, this is when the soul's next destination begins to form. But here's the secret. There is no one judging, no external force deciding, no divine courtroom assigning your fate. The only voice that speaks is your own frequency. Everything you resonated with in life, fear, love, purpose, doubt, shame, beauty, gathers now into an energetic blueprint. That blueprint attracts what matches it. Not as punishment, not as karma in the way we think of reward, but as a law of reflection. If your soul still clings to desire, to power, attachment, control, you may be drawn back into a life that gives you a chance to learn again what was left incomplete. If your soul holds regret, pain, guilt, you may attract a path that allows for healing through repetition. But if your soul has softened, if you have let go, seen clearly, loved deeply, and released the illusion of self, then something else becomes possible. Liberation. Not a place, not an escape, but a return into presence without form, into unity, into that which has no shape, but every vibration. Some call it nirvana, some call it source, some don't name it at all, because names are of the mind, and this is beyond mind. In this state you remember what was never gone, that you are not just a soul, you are not just a being passing through lives, you are not even a you are awareness itself, the seer, the seen, and the mirror. But liberation is not always chosen, because sometimes love pulls you back, to help, to guide, to return, not because you must, but because your light can make a difference. And so, you step back into the dream. But this time, you remember it's a dream. The 49 days are nearly complete, and in the final part we'll explore how this journey ends, how the soul gently detaches, how the new path reveals itself, and what all this means for those still living. Because the truth is, death isn't far from us. It's right here, in every moment we choose to wake up, before our final breath. 49 days, 7 weeks, 7 cycles of release, remembrance, and reflection. And then, it fades. The visions dissolve. The mirrors fall away. The attachments loosen. What remains is only presence. Some souls choose to stay in the light, to dissolve, not because they're done, but because they've remembered what can't be undone, that there was never separation, never death, only change. Others return, drawn back by unfinished resonance, or by a pull of love that transcends comfort. They re-enter the stream of time, not as punishment, but as opportunity. And so, a new incarnation begins, a new body, a new name, a new forgetting. But this time, maybe with a deeper seed, a hidden memory planted in the soul during those 49 days, a memory that will one day awaken. And what about us? The ones still here, still breathing, still wondering what lies beyond the final breath? Maybe the gift of this knowledge is not to know what happens, but to realize what's happening now. That every thought, every act, every intention is reflected, not only after death, but now, in this moment, in this life. The mirror is already here. The judgment is already happening, not from above, but from within. So if we know what awaits us, if we know how clearly the soul will one day see, why wait? Why not speak the truth now? Why not release the anger now? Why not forgive, feel, and love now? Because in the end, the 49 days aren't just about death. They are about awakening. And maybe, if we live as though we are already in Bardo, we won't fear death. Because we'll know, deeply, that we are not the body. We are not the role. We are not the story. We are the light watching it all unfold. We are the mirror becoming clear.